Hello, good people of YouTube. Mountbatten here, and today we are going over a devblog that was released yesterday. I was out of state on vacation at the time, so didn't jump on it right away, but here we are to cover it. In this devblog, there are some massive changes coming to the Pan American Cruiser branch. They are completely reworking the way that the line works and their identity pretty much. So we're going to go through it. If you want to read along as I read aloud, a link to this will be in the description down below. If you want to check out what the Pan American Cruiser line exactly is, or I guess was, I have a couple of videos on that already on the channel if you want to go and check those out. Alright, so let's go ahead and get on into it. Again, if you want to read along as I read aloud, link down below. So they state Pan American Cruiser changes, closed testing 12.0. Based on the testing results and your feedback, we are changing the concept of Pan American Cruisers. The goal of developing this branch was to create gameplay where combat instructions would play an important role. Based on the results of testing, it turned out that the initial concept did not meet this expectation. The following changes are being made to the branch. HE shells are removed. Ships will be armed with only AP shells with improved ricochet angles. Combat instructions are changed. The progress bar is filled with any main battery hits. Bonus of combat instructions, significant reduction of consumables reload time. Starting from Tier 6, the reload time of all consumables except spotter aircraft is 180 seconds, while the spotter plane is 240 seconds. The default number of all consumables is 4. The ships also have regular damage con party with unlimited charges. Now the DFAA consumable is an available choice starting from Tier 7 and the spotter aircraft from Tier 8. Surveillance radar consumable is added to Tier 8 to 10 ships, detection of ships 9 kilometers, and an action time of 25 seconds. Specialized repair teams at Tier 6 and above ships now restore 80% of the damage taken in any part of the ship. A repair party of Tier 2 to 5 restores 50%. Hydroacoustic search consumable is replaced by short-range hydroacoustic search. Tier 8 to 10 ships, ballistics has been slightly changed, increased armor penetration at close range, and reduced shell flight time at long range. Changes will not have a significant impact on the ship's gameplay. The preferred combat range is medium, and thanks to the surveillance radar and benefits of the repair party, the ships will be effective in engagements over key areas, as well as those in open water. The updated combat instructions encourage aggressive gameplay, rewarding constant firing and allowing you to use your ship's consumables more often. Alright, so we're going to go through each point, and I'm going to give you guys my 2 cents on each one. Just want to read through the whole thing here at the beginning so you can hear what's happening. Alright. Also, if you guys wouldn't mind dropping a like, leaving a comment down below, and appeasing our YouTube algorithm overlords, that would be very helpful. Alright, so let's go and give you guys my 2 cents on each one. So, removal of HE shells. So that is... they're getting the British treatment there. So the British light cruiser line, they don't have HE shells either, and I'm not sure exactly how improved the ricochet angles are for the Pan American Cruisers here. They don't say specifically, but we'll just go ahead and assume that they are similar to the British light cruisers. So, I mean, that is... If their reload times are good enough, that's pretty good. I mean, if you've been on the receiving end of the British light cruisers, especially the higher tier ones, those AP shells are quite formidable and quite terrifying to try and fight against. It is interesting too. What are the the fuse times and such going to be? Are they going to be useful against DDs, things like that? So more information about the exact parameters of these AP shells are needed, but if we go with assuming they'll be similar to the British light cruisers, they should be pretty good. So the combat instructions. Now, one of my chief complaints about the line beforehand is that the combat instructions were super gimmicky. It was like you had to hit a ship with shells from a singular salvo, and only shells from that salvo counted. You couldn't what do they call it? Not volley fire. Volley fire is the only way that they counted. You couldn't sequential fire. You couldn't just hold down left mouse and have it count. So yeah, now that it's just any hits on the ship will fill the progress bar. Okay, that's better. I mean, I still think the whole concept of giving a tech line combat instructions is super gimmicky in and of itself, but okay. Now, the combat instructions is that you get a significant reduction of the consumables reload time, which I imagine is going to be pretty mandatory because 180 seconds for everything, and then 240 seconds for the spotter aircraft. That is a long cooldown time. That's what, 3 minutes? So 3-minute cooldown on your heal, on your damage con. That's what? That is crazy. Now at the same time too, I mean, it's like, okay, they have a long cooldown time on their consumables, but the way you unlock your consumables is, by shooting stuff and hitting stuff, and by participating in the match, and not by sitting in the back doing nothing for 10 minutes of the match. So on one hand it's like that's super gimmicky, on the other hand it's like, oh, okay, I can kind of see what they're doing. You're trying to encourage the players to be a bit more aggressive and to be forced to play the game, but I'm not sure how that'll work. I think people will probably take the 3-minute cooldown time and play super passively, but we'll see. Again, this is all in test. This could change tomorrow for all we know. Okay, so DFAA is available on all ships starting from Tier 7, spotting aircraft from Tier 8. Okay, surveillance radar. So they gave the Tier 8 to 10 ship surveillance radar, and it's 9-kilometer radar, so it's worse than American radar. The action time's 25 seconds, so shorter range, shorter duration than the American radar, I believe. I think the American radar is like 30-ish seconds base. Of course, everyone that has radar, they normally build into it, so it's these ships are going to be having much longer radar times than that, because you can put the commander skill, the module, then the flags on, so forth and so on. But I mean, at the end of the day, it's worse than the American radar. So yeah, I guess it of course is a nice addition. Of course, any type of radar on any type of ship is a pretty nice pickup, and they didn't really lose per se anything for it, because this is again just a big reworking of the line. So yeah, but again, it's worse than American radar. I mean, Soviet radar is 12 kilometers, Americans 10. This is 9. And it's better than like the Salem, but yeah, okay. It has radar from Tier 8, 9, and 10. The Worcester deviants have radar. All right, so specialized repair teams at Tier 6 and above now restore 80% of the damage taken in any part of the ship. So I'm assuming that that's Citadel damage too. So again, it's a special heal. 2 to 5, they're keeping that heal on the Tier 2 ship, which is so weird. It's like this Tier 2 ship must be made out of like, I don't know what, because all the other Tier 2 cruisers are made out of paper mache. So why does this Tier 2 cruiser get repair teams? Like, it's so weird, because again, not just Tier 2 ships, but Tier 2 to 5 cruisers are normally made out of explodium. You guys know what I'm saying, right? I mean, there's a couple down there that have heals. I can see them giving the Tier 5 a heal, because like what the what is it? Some of the British cruisers down there have a heal because they are incredibly thinly armored. So yeah, I can see them giving the Tier 5, but the Tier 2, 3, and 4? What? How come they get to not explode as much as the other guys? But okay, yeah, so I guess the heal is still a core part of their identity. The armor, I haven't seen the armor models exactly, so that they must just be garbage for those low-tier ships. I mean, other than that, if they're not complete garbage, I mean, those cruisers are going to have a huge advantage over those other low-tier cruisers, just because. All right, so they replaced Hydra with short-range Hydra, which is, how short range? I'm assuming they're leveled by tier. So at high tier, it's probably like 4 kilometers, or hell, maybe even 3 kilometers if they go with like that. What is it, the Vampire 2? Or some of the higher tier British and Commonwealth ships that have that personal Hydra, as I like to call it. It's like 3 kilometers, 4 kilometers, something like that. And then the ballistics are being changed to where, of course, if you're giving them only AP shells, even with improved pin angles, they got to be comfortable to shoot, so it makes sense. So increased armor penetration at close range, I like that. Encourage you to get in close. Reduce shell flight time at long range, so I'm assuming they're swapping around the air drag and all that jazz. So That's good. You know, I like that. Again, you only have one ammo type. It better be some darn good ammo. And, yeah, increased armor at close range. Again, encouraging players to get in there, get closer. So, the identity shift. Do I like it? I think it's better than what we had beforehand. What we had beforehand, they were super gimmicky. The combat instructions sounded entirely convoluted and sound like it's going to be pretty difficult to pull off in game. I mean, of course, you know, like super unit comes, you know, they can make anything work. But for the average Joe, it sounded just ridiculously convoluted. I still don't like the idea of giving combat instructions to a tech line. Combat instructions in general are kind of like, in some cases they sound good and they make sense, like with like the super ships, how like with the Satsuma, for example, you know, you bracket a ship 4 or 5 times. It makes sense, you know, like your gunners are dialing them in, you're bracketing them, you got their position locked in. Makes sense that, you know, you get a good salvo out of that. Because, I mean, that's what happened in real life. The goal was to dial in the artillery until you have the ship bracketed. Then you know, we got all the right calculations and stuff in your fire director and your firing control computer, and then you know where they're at, and you shoot them, and you get a really accurate salvo. That makes sense. But then we're getting these combat instructions that, like in this case, they somehow decrease the cooldown time of your consumables. What? Like, come on. And again, the game's super arcadey. Don't get me wrong. It's very arcadey. But this is leaning up into, like, straight arcade, you know? So, yeah. That's my 2 cents on that. I do like the other changes, you know. It makes it a little bit more unique and a little bit less gimmicky. Although, again, you know, it is a really gimmicky line all in all. I do wish... and one of the main complaints that the player base has about the line is that the ships in the line just don't make any sense. You know? And there's designs out there, and again, there's an entirely community-created line out there that the dev team could have pulled from, but instead we got, again, this weird Wooster line. So that's my 2 cents on that. Let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. Hope you guys enjoyed. Have a wonderful Saturday. If you did enjoy, make sure to subscribe to the channel as well. Hope you guys have a wonderful weekend, have a wonderful Saturday and Sunday, and a wonderful New Year's if you don't hear from me before then. And hope to catch you guys in the next one.